You guys know that I like football. I also have a lot of videos regarding the Balkans on my channel. So why not combine them? One of you guys sent it in a new video idea in my Discord channel. If you haven't joined my Discord channel already, you can click on the link in the description down below and maybe your video will be featured in the next video of mine. You do have to send in a video, of course, in a tab which is called Your Submissions, where you can submit your video ideas. Is that 100% guaranteed that your video is gonna make the cut? No, it isn't, but you know, trying is free and maybe you do get it, maybe you don't get it. But with that out of the way, let's take a look on today's video. Why ex-Yugoslavs are the best footballers. I already like this, so he's already confirming that ex-Yugoslavs are the best footballers. He's just gonna explain why. So let's see what DW says about the Balkan footballers.
Imagine a national team starring Oblak from Slovenia, Modric from Croatia, Dzeko from Bosnia-Herzegovina and Jovic from Serbia.
Imagine. Gets adrenaline pumping.
Well, 30 years ago, that would have been possible because they
Look at me in his old Yugoslav dress. I've been looking for one of those for ages, but an original one.
all have come from the same country, Yugoslavia.
A state which no longer exists, but its footballers still impress.
The countries that used to make up Yugoslavia produce talent after talent after talent. Why is that?
Croatia even reached a World Cup final.
A country of only 4 million people.
Beating Argentina, England and Russia.
Because we love football, okay? Get one thing into your head. When you come to the fucking Balkans, we love football. As much as the Brazilian people do, we love football. And everyone loves football.
In 1998, Croatia finished third at their World Cup debut.
Debut? Why debut?
We don't exist for that long, bro. Here it comes. War references incoming.
Because until the early 90s, Croats were part of Yugoslavia, along with Slovenes, Bosnians, Serbs, Montenegrins and Macedonians. Yugoslavia always had good footballers. But war tore the country apart in 1991.
Did this mean the end of football there? Boy, it did not.
Nope.
Sure, none of the successor states' national teams are as successful as Croatia. Still, Serbia is the fourth largest export nation of footballers worldwide. Now,
you see what I'm saying, bro? We export people. Legally.
compare Serbia's population to those of other important export countries. Another former Yugoslav republic, Bosnia-Herzegovina, made it to the World Cup in 2014. And Northern Macedonia to Euro 2021.
And they're not just damn good at football.
The region
Yes, basketball, motherfuckers!
of former Yugoslavia has produced over 80 NBA players as of early 2021. Compared
80 NBA players. 80!
to Nigeria's 24, Australia's 26, France's 36 and Canada's 51. In handball, the World
Whoa, he also picked some good music in the background. Hey man, DW, if you're watching this and you want to record a video with me, I would be down because you're doing your shit right. I like this.
Player of the Year award has been won by players from former Yugoslavia 5 times. Only the French were awarded that title more often, with Nikola Karabatic alone winning 3.
Pardon?
Nikola Karabatic earning 3.
Well, he was born in Serbia, but let's not go there.
You see what I'm saying? Also, Euro Song Festival. Switzerland being represented by an Albanian guy. France, the woman singing, has Serbian roots, I think it was. Singing, sports, we got you covered, bro. We got you.
Back to football. How many ex-Yugoslavs are on the team you support? Probably plenty if it's in Serie A, which boasts a record 47 of them.
Whoa.
Why are people from this region so good? Well, first of all, former Yugoslavia always was a true footballing nation.
The sport was already popular there before World War II. Yugoslavia played at the first World Cup in Uruguay in 1930. They even reached the semi-final. After World War II, the country became communist, but soon fell out with the Soviet Union. It chose a third way between communism and capitalism. So, Yugoslavia also looked westward in many ways.
Also, when it came to football.
Yugoslavia's unique Cold War experience is really one of the key reasons why football is so successful. Another factor in that success in that period is the extent to which the regime invests in sport. By the 50s and 60s, Yugoslavia really has cutting-edge sporting infrastructure.
This paid off. Yugoslavia reached the World Cup quarterfinals in 1954 and 1958. They won the Olympics in 1960 and came in fourth at the 1962 World Cup. They made the finals of Euro 1960 and 68.
Remarkable successes, being a country of 20 million inhabitants only.
At club level, Yugoslavia...
Wow, this makes me so happy. I'm just silent because this video is so good. Whoever sent this in, I love you, man. And the person making this, love it. Love it. The vibe, the music, everything, the editing, it's perfect.
Yugoslavia's Big Four had established themselves as powerhouses. Dinamo Zagreb, Hajduk Split and Belgrade sides Red Star and Partizan. Their youth academies produced outstanding talent, like at Hajduk in the Croatian coastal town of Split.
Yeah, I've been here to the famous game Hajduk Split versus Dinamo Zagreb. It's insane. Literally, the atmosphere is insane. I love this stadium. Look at the background. You see the mountains? Oh.
Transfers start to happen on a fairly regular basis. Teams such as Hajduk Split, for example, become an import-export company because this is so successful and so many players are going abroad. The Yugoslav Football Association brings in this rule that players aren't allowed to leave the country until their late 20s.
Not a very popular policy, but it did ensure the domestic Yugoslav league was of a high standard.
Yeah, so until you're 20 years old, so even if you go through the youth academy, you could not be transferred or bought early. You had to wait until you're 20 before leaving the country. And that's why many players who left were already like mature footballers, let's put it that way.
From the cadet level, from the age of 14, basically these players played together on a very regular basis and got to know each other. And as you know, most football fans know, chemistry is a very important aspect of a successful team.
True. Resulting in a strong league with well-supported domestic players, big clubs succeeding in Europe, and a formidable Yugoslav national team.
At the 1974 World Cup,
this makes me so proud for some reason. I'm just filled with honor right now. I just cannot describe it.
Here in West Germany, it was seen as a squad that could maybe even win the title.
They started well, 0-0 against reigning world champions Brazil, and a 9-0 blowout over Zaire. But then things went south. Rumors and legends of unpaid bonuses and fights over sponsorship still swirl today. Not so communist, right? But hey, third way, remember?
True. We really were a third way.
Still, Yugoslavia had become a force to be reckoned with in football and other sports, and a source of major pride for the population.
U bivšoj Jugoslaviji je jako dobro funkcionirao sport kao takav i svi su voljeli sport. Tu smo jedino mogli parirati svjetskim velesilama poput Njemačke, Engleske, Francuske i pokazati evo tu smo.
Not only sports and not only back then, still today, if you win, it is some kind of acknowledgement or statement like, hey, we might be small, we might have been in war and shit, but we are still here and we're still strong.
In the 80s, a new generation of footballers turned this to gold. They won the 1987 Youth World Championship in Chile. Players like Boban, Šuker, Jarni, Mijatović and Prosinečki came to light.
Prosinečki.
They left their mark on 90s football. at Real, Barça, Sevilla, Milan and others. But they didn't have time to make their mark as a national team. Hatred was being stirred up among Yugoslavia's different ethnicities. Violence at a game between Dinamo Zagreb and Red Star Belgrade heralded the war that would follow.
Ako to nije dovoljno upozorenje, onda svidjelo se to nekom ili ne, postajemo sudionici svega onoga.
Some people argue that this was the actual start of the war.
Što se dešava, znači da se to i sutra može dogoditi svima nama.
Es war schrecklich. Kurz und knapp. Unvergesslich und hässlich sind die Bilder, die Szenen aus der 13. Mai 1990.
In 1991, the war started. Yugoslavia fell apart.
Not only that, most football players at the time, most basketball players who were in those great teams, picked up arms and went to war. Imagine being a successful basketball player, football player, coming home, picking up an AK and going to war.
How did this affect this very talented generation and football as a whole in the region?
Most incredibly, just weeks before the war began, Red Star Belgrade still won the equivalent of the Champions League in May 1991. But shortly after, just like thousands of civilians, footballers were leaving the region en masse. Red Star Belgrade lost nearly their entire team overnight after the 1991 triumph. Their players left for Real, Milan, Inter, Roma and others. It wasn't just Red Star, other top clubs also struggled and have yet to fully recover.
What we see across the board is an exodus of talent anywhere where they can get a contract.
Not only in sports. This happened for any skilled person. People, great teachers, people who taught sports, people who taught other things, just teachers in general. Everyone who had a skilled level or a diploma left the country. And today the same thing is still happening. Young people finish school, get a great diploma, boom, they're gone. That's the effect of one war. Effect which immediately destroyed the country back then, 25 years ago. And then actually the aftermath is still here 25 years later.
Where they don't have to stay in the conflict situation. We're seeing players do that. And we see the creation of multiple weak leagues.
Despite all this, one of the new national teams managed to rise from the ashes of Yugoslavia quite quickly.
After its independence, Croatia joined FIFA. Initially, they were ranked 125th in the world. Only 2 years later, they had moved up to 62nd. And another 2 years later, they played at Euro 1996 and made it to the quarterfinals. Why did they develop so fast? Sure, they had players that had won the '87 Youth World Championship. Players like Igor Stimac and Davor Šuker were now in their prime. But there was another critical factor triggered by the war: identity.
They were not just considered ambassadors of identity, of sort of this newly forming Croatian identity, but they also saw themselves as ambassadors of identity. They felt some particular and sort of extra special motivation
to show the world that they are a new nation and that they are still strong, but as Croatians. And the same goes for all the other nations. Basically, a trigger of nationalism, let's say heroic feelings, but combined with nationalism.
For the role that they were in. Football played a very specific role as a sacred center of society.
At the 1998 World Cup, Croatia even came in third. Although they had to wait 20 years for similar success, second place at the 2018 World Cup, patriotic impetus is still considered a reason for Croatia's outsized performance.
Svi ovi naši današnji igrači su se odgajali na tom zanosu iz 98. Znači oni su bili djeca i gledali su naše u Francuskoj. Ako gledate Luku Modrića, Čorluku, Lovrena, znači to su sve dječaci iz ratnih sredina. Znači oni su rođeni u vrijeme rata, imaju tu traumu gdje su morali pobjeći sa svog doma bili su izbjeglice, bili su gladni, bili su žedni.
Things were quite different.
Once you're hungry, if you ever become hungry or thirsty in life, literally not having anything to eat and drink, it brings life to a whole nother perspective. It triggers and initiates a flame if you're strong enough and a survivor, some survivor instinct, which if you're good enough in keeping it alive, will stay alive for the rest of your life within you, if you're still following me. Basically motivation without an ending. And this is a perfect example. Once you're in such a hard position, you will work so hard to never come back to that position, or to have everything you ever dreamt of once you were in that position.
Different in Serbia and Montenegro. The UN saw them as the aggressors in the Yugoslav wars. Sanctions prevented the national teams and clubs from playing abroad.
Prosto odjedanput je nestalo sve. Dakle, svi fudbaleri koji su igrali u domaćim fudbalskim klubovima su vrlo brzo nakon uvođenja ekonomskih, između ostalog ekonomskih i sportskih sankcija od strane Saveta bezbednosti Ujedinjenih nacija 1992. godine su naprosto otišli.
But Serbs and Montenegrins came back, now as Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, and made it to World Cup 1998 and Euro 2000. They too had their share of the golden generation, like Predrag Mijatovic, and players from European Cup-winning Red Star, Siniša Mihajlovic or Dejan Savicevic. Plus, the excellent youth work survived the war. One outstanding example is Partizan Belgrade's academy.
Partizanova omladinska škola čak u periodu 90-ih i 2000-ih naročito bila još jača nego u bivšoj Jugoslaviji. I oni imaju skautsku službu koja je fantastična, skupljaju talente po čitavoj Srbiji.
Serbia's production of youth talent is so massive that the country is listed as the world's fourth largest export nation of footballers, which is often a recipe for club survival.
To znači napravi igrača koga možeš da prodaš i od toga ulaži u preživljavanje fudbalskog kluba. Jedan igrač koji vredi 10 miliona evra donosi jednoj Crvenoj zvezdi godinu ili godinu i po dana funkcionisanja.
Japan, Thailand, South Korea, Colombia, Serbs can be found anywhere, not just the top leagues. Talent abounds in Serbia and the global football market is buying. But talent is also imported to the region. Take Croatia's national team. Ivan Rakitic was born in Switzerland, former defender Joe Šimunić in Australia.
Yeah, well, imported, I don't call that import. Blood, Croatian blood runs through their veins. And the same goes for the Bosnian national team, Serbian national team, and many of them actually have parents from mixed marriages and can play for either country, which makes it even more complicated.
The Croatian diaspora is significant. It's a country that has experienced several waves of emigration. And here, the scouting system was very good in identifying potential players for the national team of Croatian origin.
Naša dijaspora broji gotovo skoro isto od 4 miliona Hrvata i oni su jako emotivno vezani za Hrvatsku.
Yeah. Here comes the sum, 4 million living abroad, just like with the Bosnians.
If other countries were to have a diaspora that big, there'd be up to 200 million Germans, 400 million Brazilians, and, well, 3 billion Indians.
Kosovo too builds its football on these pillars, relying on patriotic impetus and recruiting from a large diaspora.
Before Corona, in late 2019, I went to Kosovo, UEFA's youngest member.
Kosovo was once an autonomous province of Serbia and declared independence in 2008. It was admitted to UEFA in 2016 and almost qualified for Euro 2021. War-torn and still not recognized by some major countries such as Russia or China, in Kosovo, football is clearly much more than just football.
It's a way for us to represent ourselves to the world. And keeping in mind that we're very excited to see our team play, I feel like it really has an important meaning to us. It even made me want to watch football.
Add to this pride the Diaspora Factor. Okay, Milo Trashica was actually born in Kosovo. But goalkeeper Muric in Switzerland or defender Pacharada in Germany. Kosovo's football team is also about nation building, and with all the enthusiasm, this seems to work so far. Finally,
I find it really like interesting and insane how this guy did some proper research, talked to some proper people. So far he hasn't said any stupid thing and he hasn't missed any detail.
Northern Macedonia qualified for Euro 2021. This former Yugoslav republic did not come out of nowhere either. A continuation of the Yugoslav school with an emphasis on good youth work.
Schon 2017 Mazedonien hat sich für Europameisterschaft U21 in Polen qualifiziert. Viele Fußballer aus dieser Generation sind jetzt in die A-Mannschaft.
Yugoslavia has left.
Yep. So you have to imagine that a generation gets old, they have to be replaced by younger players who need to gain experience. So if you have like a golden team with people who have more experience and they retire, multiple or half of the team, like in Bosnia, like 4 or 5 players immediately left, retired after their world championships a couple of years back. What happens is that this new generation needs to fill the gap, but they still need to gain the experience. And it usually takes like 3 to 4 years for them to get in the same golden era, to put it that way. And that's the same thing which is happening throughout the ex-Yugoslavia when it comes to football.
More than just its traces in today's football. It laid the foundation for an unstoppable production of talent and some great success against the odds. The wars fueled the powerful football passion in the region even more. National teams also rely on players born abroad, and keep in mind not everyone picks the ex-Yugoslav side. Take Marko Arnautovic, Haris Šeferovic, or of course Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yeah, especially Zlatan, that hurts. That story hurts. Deep inside, I think if he would not have had such a bad experience with the corrupt football bond, or how you ever want to call it, back in the day, football association from Bosnia, I would bet you that if he didn't have that bad experience, he would be playing for Bosnia right now. He is really patriotic when it comes to Bosnia. He speaks Bosnian. His parents are Bosnian. Well, his father is, at least. I think his mother was something else. This guy breathes Bosnia, his behavior, his style, everything. You can see that he is a true Bosnian. And sometimes I don't get it. I seriously don't get it. Maybe I do. If you're really not have any connection to your home country, I kind of could understand. Ibrahimovic did, but that's a different story. But these other players, I don't know. I would feel some kind of pride or honor if I would be asked to play for the actual national team. From my roots, to put it that way. But hey, that's for every person is different. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but I find it sad.
Can Croatia win the 2022 World Cup or Serbia the 2024 Euro? And what about the others? Finally, let me repeat another question. How many players from former Yugoslav republics are there on your team? Let me know in the comments. Peace.
Proper video. Proper video. I love this. I find that a good question, actually. I'm wondering what kind of encounters you've had in sports with former Yugoslavs. We are literally everywhere and we play literally in every sport. So I'm really curious if you've ever encountered yourself personally while in a football team or something else, a former Yugoslav player. And how was it? Did you interact with him or something, or did you see something? I would like to know. I found it a real good video. Original video is called Why Ex-Yugoslavs Are the Best Footballers. Put a link in the description down below, of course. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, leave a like down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I see you guys in the next video. Ciao.
Perfect.